So I'm sure that this is a video that a lot of you guys have been looking forward to, because ever since I started the channel, it was all about the Mustang for a while. And then recently, of course, I bought the 944. And I know that a lot of you guys DM me and you comment, you're like, yo, when's the next thing with the Mustang coming? And so today's video, we're finally gonna be talking about the future of the Mustang GT, because it's kind of just been chilling for a little bit and not much has been happening. So I wanna give you guys an update as well as show you the next mod that I have. I've been keeping it a secret for so long, and some of you guys have been starting to hint at it and DM me on Instagram, and I've been trying not to say anything. So without further ado, let's talk about the Mustang. Okay, so for those of you that are new to the channel, this is my 2006 Mustang GT. So you might be looking at this and be like, what the heck is that bumper? So if you're unaware, this is the Duraflex GT350 replica bumper. So it's supposed to look like an S550 GT350. If you look a little closer, you can see I've done some like custom sequential turn signals, but that's gonna change relatively soon. This video is not really about that, but it's just one of those things that I've done to make sure that I could actually have a turn signal on the front of the car. I know a lot of people that have done this swap actually just created like a bracket to run the stock turn signal, but this is like a pretty cool kit that took a lot of work. It's just a lot of fiberglass work, and mine's not perfect, of course. There's some cracks and it tends to look a little bit better on camera, but this is just one of those things where, you know, it's a photography car, okay? It looks good on the internet, and that's what matters. So you might be wondering like, yo, you got the front bumper, what about like the GT350 rear bumper or the side skirts, and what about any of that? So as you guys can see on the back, I've got the GT350 spoiler, but of course this is just the OEM bumper. I do have a nice rear diffuser from Brandon66 Polar on Instagram, but I actually have the GT350 rear bumper that was made for this car by Duraflex, and I haven't shown it to you guys yet. So with that out of the way, now that you know I've spoiled it, we're gonna go ahead and pull it out of the box. Alright, so unfortunately this isn't like a fresh unboxing, because when big parts like this come in, you gotta open them up and inspect them to make sure there wasn't any damage. Fortunately for me, this one was undamaged for the most part, but I know that a lot of people that order these parts, like they come and then they just, something happened to the box or it was punctured or something, and then there's just tons of like fiberglass chips everywhere and it's a huge disaster. But luckily that's not my situation, so we've got a nice clean example of this bumper. This is the new fiberglass bumper for the Mustang. Here she be. So of course this bumper is designed to look like the newer S550 with the GT350 Valence on the back and everything, but of course it still has the fitment to fit an S197 around like these taillights and everything like that. It still has like that boxy look, and the dimensions should line up pretty close. Of course, if you watched my series with the front bumper, you know that it was kind of a disaster. I had to do a ton of fiberglass molding, and I think that that is probably going to be a pretty similar situation with this bumper, because they can be kind of a pain in the ass, and fiberglass is not super ideal for bumpers. Most stock bumpers are not entirely fiberglass. They're kind of like 50-50 with some other materials to make them a little more flexible. Fiberglass is not really forgiving, but it is manageable. You can have fiberglass body kits, and it's pretty common material to use, but you just kind of got to know what you're doing. So to give you guys a little bit of info about this bumper, along these seams there's these little plastic ridges that have little clips in them, and so when you put the bumper on, you kind of pop it into place and then you push the little clips into the body of the car. It's kind of just like welded onto the fender. This bumper doesn't have that, so this just has a bunch of raw fiberglass kind of at the edge of the mold, and they just leave it. So you have to put a lot of work into these to make sure that they fit properly. When I did the front bumper, I didn't have to worry about the clips on the sides, because on the front bumper the fender has like this little ledge, and then inside the ledge there's a little clip, or not clip, I wouldn't say, it's like a bracket that has little studs that stick down, and then you just kind of drill holes in the bumper and then put a nut on the underside of the studs, and then that's what holds up the side of the bumper. On the back, however, it's a little bit different. So if you look at the stock bumper, there's some hardware inside the wheel wells, and so that hardware, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's like a screw right here and then a screw down there. So those screws just come out, and then you kind of just pop this off, and then to get the center part undone, you would have to pop the trunk, pull out like the inner lining of the trunk, and then there's some screws and bolts that kind of go into the stock bumper, and I think there's a nut on the back of them, or maybe it's a stud off the bumper. I don't really remember fully, but this bumper just, of course, it doesn't have any of those clips, so I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to make this fit flush. And then on the inside, of course, there's no studs to hold it onto the car. There's literally just these like blank fiberglass edges. I don't even know if those are like in the right place. It's kind of just like a big raw section of fiberglass. So unfortunately, I think that the back of this is probably going to be an even bigger job than the front, but luckily I have a lot of experience from doing the front, so any sort of fiberglass molding or sanding that I need to do to get this ready should be manageable. And for those of you that watched the series with the front bumper, you guys will also remember how I had to do tons of like molding and adding fiberglass and sanding it down. The rear bumper construction is all around just a lot better. The shape is a lot more accurate. It seems like the lines are a lot more flush. There's a couple little areas where I think it might need to get sanded down, and I might need to like add some fiberglass to the inside so that way I can sand it down smooth, and just some strange things with that. But overall, I think that this rear bumper is a much better production piece, even though it doesn't have any sort of clips to get it onto the car. I think that the overall production quality is a lot better. So if we take a closer look at the bumper, I'm just gonna gently set it up like this so we can get a good look at this rear diffuser section. So of course it looks like an S550. There's no holes for the lights or anything like that. I did some measuring, and these little light sections right here will actually fit the S550 rear reflectors. So I bought some cool custom lights that I'm going to be installing in these. And then of course I'm going to be installing some sort of center rear like fog light or brake light or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. And then I'll still need to transfer over my license plate lights. But as you can see, there's like a nice little edged area all around this. Like, as I was saying a second ago, the production quality is a lot better. There's even like little spots where they want you to drill holes, so that's nice. The front bumper didn't have anything like that. Like, the front bumper was terrible. It was such a piece of crap. This one seems as though they did a lot better job with it, even though it is still raw fiberglass. It's just a lot more symmetrical, so luckily there's that. And then if we move over to the exhaust valence area, as you can tell, this is just like a big open space, because if you're familiar, a GT350 has quad exhaust, and of course my car only has the dual exhaust. If you take a look, so I only have 2 exhaust tips, and this bumper is designed after one that was supposed to have 4 exhaust tips. So this car is going to get a quad exhaust, which I'm really excited about. I've seen some people do quad exhaust setups on S197s, and I've just kind of avoided doing it just because you have to cut like the rear valence or get a slightly different rear diffuser, and I kind of like the way that my stock bumper looked with the diffuser that I put on. So I've just been sticking with the dual exhaust, but with this bumper, of course, I'm going to have to do quad exhaust. Otherwise, it's going to look a little bit strange with just having a single exhaust in that huge area. Kind of got some ideas for what I'm going to do with that. I might have like a valve system so that way I can actually have some mufflers, because this car is completely straight piped and it is obnoxious. Like, it's fun and it's super loud, but I would like to be able to flip a switch and have it be a little more quiet. So there's some room for learning with that, and I might actually just have an exhaust shop do it. Oh dude, no way. I think it's an automatic side loader, bro. Dude, that's got to be a female one. The male ones are more of the hunters, but the female ones, you see them going around and picking up all the garbage cans. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming with this new rear bumper. Of course, I'm going to make a little mini series, just like I documented the front GT350 bumper. We're going to be moving on to the rear, and of course I will have the side skirts coming too. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that, because I'm not sure if Duraflex makes them. I could be wrong, but I might have to do some retrofitting. But the body kit is going to be coming along. I know it's like kind of taking a long time, but it took like months just for that bumper to get here. So there's just some things I've got to figure out, and of course I haven't seen anybody do it before, so I believe I'm going to be the first person to have the whole body kit, which is pretty exciting. But of course, if you guys wanted to do this yourself, you can always DM me on Instagram at Kaidan Odom, and I can try to answer as many questions as I can as I go along and figure it out. But of course, those of you that have been following will know that I kind of have a project with the Porsche, and the engine is taking up the entire garage right now. So I'm kind of putting that on hold for just a little bit, because of the fact that I ordered some new gaskets for the engine that I need before I can put it all back together, and they're literally going to take like 2 to 3 weeks to get here. I still don't have a clutch, and I'm kind of just waiting for stuff to get here. Unfortunately, with Porsche stuff, it kind of just takes a while for parts to come in. So that's just kind of where I'm at with this build. I am going to have some videos in the meantime kind of working on the chassis, because there are some things I can do to get this ready for the engine to go in. But until that happens, I want to start working on the Mustang, because I actually have a ton of parts that have just been sitting for a really long time, because I was kind of prioritizing this build for the time being. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is we're actually just going to end up pushing the chassis over to where the Mustang is parked right now, and then when we do that, we'll be able to pull the Mustang into the driveway, and I won't be able to use the entire garage, but I can kind of push all the engine stuff back into the garage, and then I can put the bumper stuff and do all the body work kind of in the front half of the garage, I guess. I don't know. It'll make sense when it all happens, but that's to come pretty soon. This video is kind of short. It's kind of just to update you guys and finally show you guys what I've been hiding, because I've been wanting to show off this bumper for a while and it's just been sitting in a box in my living room. I feel so bad too. It's been like taking up all the space, and I've been trying not to show you guys in the vlogs or anything like that. But there's a lot of cool stuff coming. Of course, we're gonna get it painted. We're gonna have a lot of body work and a lot of great videos coming for the summer. Hopefully I can get that bumper on within the next like 2 to 3 weeks. I don't know when the paint will happen, but I do want to get it test fitted on there pretty soon. So this video, of course, is just kind of a brief update, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you leave a like down below, because this stuff is not cheap and I don't get paid very much, and all I need is just views and likes. So if you guys like this type of video, make sure you leave a like. Consider subscribing if you want to follow along with this build, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and dream big.